Welcome everyone to the Global Day of the Engineer webinar. My name is Thea Saar and I'm the Director of Communications and Program for DiscoverE, and I'm so happy that you could all be here today with us. We have an excellent session for you today, but first I wanted to just remind everyone what Global Day of the Engineer is. It's a worldwide movement that celebrates engineers and shares engineering innovations online, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and engages students in engineering. We just wanted to create a day where we could sit back and reflect on all the amazing things that engineers do every day to make our lives better. So if you haven't already, go onto your Facebook page or onto Twitter and use the hashtag Global Engineer to join the conversation. And I just want to welcome everyone. And today we have folks, since it is Global Day of the Engineer, we have folks from all over the world who are joining us. I just thought it would be fun for everyone to see where people are tuning in from today for this broadcast. So joining us today is Avery Bang, the CEO and President of Bridges to Prosperity. She's our featured presenter, and we decided we wanted to feature her on this joint Global Day New Faces of Engineering webinar, because not only is Avery doing amazing things around the world to use engineering to help rural communities, but she is also a 2011 New Face of Engineering nominee with ASCE. So what better way to celebrate than to have our featured speaker represent both aspects of today. Also joining us today are Dale Jans. He is the NCEES past president and vice president of Jans Corporation. And he and his co-presenter, Karen Moran from ASCE, will be announcing today's winners. So, without further ado, I am going to turn over control to Avery, and she is going to tell us a little bit about Bridges to Prosperity. Avery, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Thea. And I really appreciate everyone taking, whether it's your lunch hour or your twilight hour, to spend a little bit of time with us today. And I'm really quite honored and excited to get to be part of this amazing event as part of the Global Day of the Engineer. As Thea mentioned, I think the New Faces of Engineering is one of the most exciting awards and recognition pieces that I think any young person could get. It's really been very catalytic for my career. So I'm here today to tell you guys a little bit about what is that career that I'm doing, and why is this photo of me dangling off the side of a bridge in Nicaragua, and why is that my office. So it's a bit of a fun story, I hope, and I'll keep it kind of light, and I will definitely make time for questions at the end. That could be through the chat. And Thea, I'm not able to capture the, oh, there we go, sorry, my own fault, got that. So what inspires me to be an engineer is probably what inspires so many people around the world. For me, it's about the people. And for me, it's about this woman in Haiti being able to go and make sure that she's able to get to her market. It's about this gentleman in Nicaragua being able to learn how to design and build things in his own community. It's about companies from all over the world being able to go and have an amazing experience of working side by side with a community half a world away to build infrastructure that is life-changing for both them and for the people, frankly, that spend the time to go out into this new environment and this new culture. And I've really experienced, for me, the power of a story as being a human level piece that really inspires engineers. It's not about the structure for us. It's about the people, and it's about the process, and it's really about something much bigger than the infrastructure that we design and build. But what better way to tell a story than to show a quick little video? So I'm going to share with you a quick 2 minutes. So I think what's exciting for us about bridges is that it is something so connecting. And quite literally, it is changing the lives of not only one person, not only one family, but a community and a series of communities. And in rural places around the world, if you could imagine life where you never get in a car or a bus or a vehicle, that is the reality for people who live in this area of Ethiopia, or for the folks who are living in Colombia and have, in the luckiest of places, often maybe some piece of cable to help pull themselves across. But in so many places where we have come across structures, people need to cross rivers and need to be able to go where they have healthcare, where they have schools. But I would ask all of the parents on this call today, would you send your child to school over this? And for those of you guys that are young and thinking about being an engineer, I know it seems kind of fun and exciting to go bouncing across a fairly dangerous looking structure, but I assure you this is not a playground. This is the way that kids go to school every single day. And I think for me about what's interesting is that transportation and the way that we go from home to school or from our farms to the markets, or the way that we are able to connect people influences everything. It influences how many people actually go to school. It influences how many women and people are able to be entrepreneurs and start businesses and be able to know that they're going to sell their goods and everything that they make in a market. It means that people can actually go to health care, and if you're going to be having a kid, you know that you can actually have an attended birth, which increases a lot of different health indicators in a significant way. And for us, it's about caring deeply about lots of different things, but it's all about the people. And I think engineers have this unique opportunity to really make a profound change in the world and not have to attach to just one outcome. And I think whether you're designing a bridge in San Francisco or in Tokyo or in rural Rwanda, we are all designing and building the services that the world relies on that makes the entire economy thrive and that helps all people have access to the social services that do exist. And I think what's kind of exciting is at Bridges to Prosperity, we are the world's only organization to focus on the lack of connectivity in the rural last mile on a global scale. And so I think it's important to think about, as we're trying to connect all of the people in the world that are isolated, we are really aspiring to be a convener and a connector. And whether a group from the U.S. Navy Seabees wants to build the bridge, they're contacting us. If there is a missionary that wants to be designing and building a bridge, we do everything we can to support their work. If there's a group like an Engineers Without Borders group, they use our technical manuals and our technical process to do that safely and to make sure that those projects are being done well. And what's really amazing is by being a convener and sharing our resources, we at the same time are learning how other organizations do this, learning how we can be a better support, and most importantly, we're learning how to be a good partner with governments all over the world. I don't want to get in too much into it, but it's really an amazing experience as an engineer to be able to walk in and have a conversation with the Ministry of Transportation and say, hey, I want to be able to help you solve your own problem, and I want to help you build your own bridges, and to really be able to have the ability to do that is such an amazing career. And I think what's probably more relevant for today, especially in light of the new faces of engineering being announced, is, well, footbridges make sense, sure. But why is Avery doing footbridges? And I think what's been really important for me in my young career has been to find an alignment between not only the thing that I'm kind of passionate about, which I think I could be excited about lots of different kinds of engineering and lots of different careers probably, but with what I'm doing with Bridges to Prosperity, I have a profound sense of purpose. And finding that sense of purpose, I think, can be found in a lot of different ways. And I think to get involved in engineering as a career, you have access to help people right in your own backyard. You don't have to cross an ocean. But a little bit about my journey, as I'm a kid of the 80s, not to date myself here, but this ad for Legos was really like what I aspired to be, and I think I probably look pretty close to this young girl minus the adorable little red hair, and really enjoyed building and playing and digging. And so when I went to university, I was thinking, how could I do something that would use my creativity? And let me do something exciting that puts me outside, that lets me build and vision a future that doesn't exist yet. And at the same time, I was also an athlete, and I was thinking about where could I go to university to play in Division I soccer. And everything came together, and I had the opportunity to study engineering, also double degree in art, and to be a Division I athlete, a scholarship athlete at the University of Iowa. And I think what's so interesting about picking your career path, as young people often do more by circumstance, I think, is it all just kind of made sense. And I think I'm in maybe the minority because I had a role model. And my role model was my dad, who was an engineer, who bought me those Legos, who took me out to sites and to, like, on vacations, we'd go and see bridges and abutments, and we would talk about wastewater treatment plants and things that I know that most of the world doesn't see and doesn't have access to. So for the teachers and for the parents on the call, you know, you don't have to be an engineer to inspire the next generation of engineers. But that's to say, I think that we're all holistically rounded people. And for me at the time, I was motivated to play soccer, probably most, above engineering, above art degree. And I ended up deciding to leave the team after my junior year, and had a really, I might call it a quarter life crisis, which many 20-somethings I think can relate to, of really, who am I? And what am I on this earth to do? And what am I going to be doing professionally that's going to fuel my fire and give me a new window on the world? And I think that may be fairly, common for the millennial generation, is I want to do something big and bigger than myself, and I want to be part of a movement where I can wake up in the morning, be excited by my work, and when I didn't have soccer, I didn't know what that was going to be. So, as Thea has heard me say before, one of my favorite recommendations that I'm sure I'm making enemies worldwide is buy a one-way plane ticket and pick a place on the map you've never heard of, which for me was Fiji. And I got on a plane and I went and studied abroad in a beautiful, beautiful country in the South Pacific that I literally couldn't find on the map when I first was flipping through the pages at the study abroad office. And I think what was a really important experience for me was to be outside my comfort zone. For growing up in the middle of the United States, my bandwidth of what was a perspective shift around what was poor and what was affluent, what was having and what was not having, was a very narrow band. And I think that as soon as I stepped into another world, a perhaps more emerging economy in our lower income communities, I saw that there was a lot more discrepancy in people who have very, very little, and quite frankly, also people that have a lot more. And that was really eye-opening for me in so many levels. But I also had a circumstantial situation where I was going to rural communities and volunteering with the Breast Cancer Foundation in Fiji, and came across this bridge. And this bridge is, for those of you that are already engineers, I think it was pretty cool. I kind of geeked out, taking photos, not only with myself and them, but all the fencing and all the things. But it wasn't about the structure. It was about how transformed the community was on the other side of the river. And it was this kind of eureka moment where there was this sense of purpose and an alignment and a kind of coming together where, well, what if I put together a team, maybe not altogether different than my soccer team, where we could do something for other people and maybe we could actually build a bridge, God knows. And I came back to the United States, went back to the University of Iowa, decided I should finish my engineering and art degree, and decided to figure out who in the world builds bridges. And fast forward probably a few months by this point, but we got connected with Bridges to Prosperity, and we're on a flight down to Peru, and flew into Cusco, which is high in the Andean mountains, and from there was like a 4-hour, 5-hour, I'll call it a car ride, but it's more of a truck, the back of a truck, to then get dropped off to then walk down 2 hours into a community where, if you can see on the left, that was where we lived for that next several weeks in the schoolyard with all the children, who then had to walk another 45 minutes down into the valley to reach the photo on the right. And on the right was during the dry season. And those are braided vines that are a local solution to being able to cross the river. And every single year, the communities come together and they rip down the vines and they braid them together and they make this crossing. I was terrified, and I personally had to cross this, and I was so inspired that this little guy just kind of bounced across like it was no big deal. But I think what's important here is that this is how they crossed when it was low water. When it's high water, those rocks that you can see me standing on are underwater, and those vines are ripped away and washed away. And so as a young 21-year-old, I had the opportunity with 4 of my new best friends to go back to the University of Iowa and design a bridge with, of course, support of professional engineers that are accredited, but that we would be able to design and build something that would help people, and also to fundraise for that, and so to learn how to tell our story about why bridges were important. It was such an informative experience. And what I'm so tremendously proud of today is that over a decade later, that bridge continues to serve people every single day. And those kids that I lived in their little courtyard of a school are now well beyond their primary school ages, but they are still using that bridge, perhaps to go to school, perhaps to cure their farm or take their goods to market from their farms, but that is still there. And it's something that they built with their own hands with our support. And I am so, so, so proud of that. And what that's been able to really catalyze for me is a sense of this bridge building should be something that more people around the world get to be part of. Because for me, bridge building really gave a human face to the work that so many people are doing every single day. And I think that there's something about Bridges to Prosperity and about something so simple as a footbridge that can be transformative, not only for young engineers like myself, but also for professional engineers that have spent an entire career building some of the world's most amazing structures. But they'll come down and they'll help us build one of these, and they're like, Avery, that was one of the most important projects I've ever worked on my entire life. And I think it's because you have such a human element and it's so close to you, and in less than 2 weeks you can really build a bridge and see what that does for a community. And I think that as it relates to a career, we at Bridges to Prosperity want this to be inclusive. We want to not only be building just to build, but we want to be innovative. We want to create a community of innovators who design and build the world's best structures that are robust and durable. We want to build local capacity. So we want to educate local engineers. We want to educate local contractors. We want to educate local people in that community how to build this bridge and also how to maintain it. And we build to inspire. And I think the New Faces of Engineering is a really good moment to reflect on. I would not have been a new face in 2011 had it not been the inspiration that I got from my experience in Peru. And I think that the more opportunities that we give people to see a line of sight to how exciting this career really is, I think the more folks that we can inspire, the more people we will have come be the next generation of engineers. And quite frankly, in light of it being Global Day of the Engineer, we are the people that are going to solve the world's biggest problems. It is the most exciting career to be part of, and we need the best and the brightest to be part of that next wave of exciting challenges. So a little bit more about Bridges to Prosperity is we build to innovate, and what that looks like is we're innovating for the rural last mile. You're trying to figure out how to innovate something when you walk, let's call it 3 hours, carrying cable on your back. You're trying to innovate when you are digging holes with picks. And you're trying to innovate when you're mixing all of your concrete batch by batch and pouring it hand by hand. We're also trying to innovate around local materials. So in Honduras, we had these really amazing disregarded telephone poles that could work for towers. On the right, in Guatemala, we had access to steel. And ultimately, coming up with designs that were robust and also could use repurposed materials. Again, I don't need to go down that, but thinking creatively. As an engineer, we figured out ways to get materials donated from oil and gas and also from cranes, so that way we could reduce the cost and build more bridges. We also build to educate, and I feel super strongly that this is the wave of the future. And I noticed that we have a Rwandan on the call, if not several. This was taken in about 2 hours out north of Kigali, and we are training one of our essentially vocational school colleagues that is now on staff, and being able to support local engineers and local vocational folks to design and build these, because Rwandans are going to be the ones that lift rural Rwandans out of poverty. They may need some help and some support, but in the long run, that's going to be the leaders that we need, and we are committed as an organization to make that happen. We do that by taking the learnings that we have and making them free and available to everyone. We had over 3,000 different people and organizations down these last year alone. And everything from how do you do a survey to here's exactly the drawings and here is a quality control and quality assurance processes you need to design and build the bridge, all available online for free, open source. We also do this by saying we're going to commit to local employment and local training. And I think that this is tremendously important, is we don't go into a country and just fly in and fly out. As an organization, we are committed to be entrenched in the local communities and to work with the same people year in and year out. And this is one of my dearest construction managers in Nicaragua, Esteban Palma, who's been with us since 2011. And he has been one of the most innovative guys on the entire team anywhere in the world, because he's had the experience of building a masonry tower on your left and a steel tower on your right. And lastly, as I mentioned, I would not be here today if it weren't for the inspiration of being able to find purpose in my work. And I believe that we can all do something every single day to be able to inspire people around us about the exciting opportunities in engineering, and inspiring communities in Zambia that they can lift themselves out of their situation, and inspiring people in Guatemala and these kids that you guys might have seen on the promo for today's event, being able to celebrate that they built this bridge and this is theirs, and inspiring them that they could do something about their own situation is something that really helps me feel really aligned between my values and the work that we're doing. And this bridge here in Rwanda was a really exciting opportunity to go celebrate our 100th bridge several years ago now. We've now built, I think, close to 250. But inspiring communities and entire countries that this is stuff that they can do and that we're here to support. So with that, I really appreciate the opportunity to join Dale and Karen today, and I'll be on the call through the end to hopefully be able to welcome the new faces of engineering. So I appreciate your time, everyone.
Thank you, Avery. That was an amazing presentation. If anyone has any questions for Avery, you can type them into the question box. And I apologize if there was no audio with the video. That was a technical glitch on my side. We can definitely share the URL with the Bridges to Prosperity movie with you all. Avery, could you type that URL into the question and answer box? That would be really terrific. And one other just little tidbit, Avery is speaking to us from England, so this is a total global event. We have a question. Someone wants to know, how can they join your organization, Avery?
Well, there's lots of different ways to get involved, and I think it depends on where you are in your life and your career and what time and capacity you have. But if you go to our website, there is a link on how to get involved, and whether it's through a company or wanting to learn more. We are featured in the new IMAX film Dream Big, which is about highlighting engineers. So if you have access to go to the IMAX film, that's a great way to get involved as well.
Great. And we have another question asking, during the bridge work, during difficulties, what inspires you? So I guess, when you hit a challenge building a bridge, what inspires you to keep going?
Yeah, I think that failure is a really important piece of my day-to-day. And so I think that one of the mindset pieces that I think is important for all of us is to see failure as a learning opportunity and to not get pushed down or beaten down by the things that are not going to work. And I think as an engineer, the word failure can be scary because that could, conjure all kinds of, like, the bridge is falling down. But that's not the only kind of failure. You can fail in how you support someone, or how you have a conversation, or how you try to communicate something that you meant to come off another way. And I think to see the big and the small challenges as both equally being great opportunities to learn and grow from, I think for me has helped me remain fairly optimistic, and also to keep a really solid group of supporters and mentors and family and friends that can see you through the tough times. Those have both been really important kind of mindset things for me personally.
And our last question before we move on to announcing this year's winners is, we have a question. Hello, this is from Meredith. I'm a student also double majoring in mechanical engineering and art. Just curious, what art did you specifically do?
Yeah, that's awesome. I was studio art, so I didn't do a BFA, but my focus area was in 3D design. So I got an opportunity to be in the metalworking lab and to take ceramics, but to focus also on how to do computer. At the time we were using Rhino, but any kind of 3D program where you can design an object and make lights out of straws and chairs out of big old disregarded boxes. So it's kind of aligned for me between the structural engineering and art was still pretty mechanical, but very cool. That's great to hear.
And you can keep your questions coming. Avery will stay on with us after we do a few of the after we announce the winners. But we just don't want to wait too much longer for that. So I am going to. Oops, I didn't move that over. So we are now going to announce our 2017 New Faces of Engineering for our professional winners. And as I mentioned, Dale Jans from NCEES and Karen Moran from ASCE will be today's presenters. So our first winner is...
Thank you, Thea. Our first winner is Ashley Nicole Evans from ACEC.
Our next is Elise Falconer from ASHRAE.
Next, we have India Kazmarek from NACME.
Chad Norval from ASCE.
Nicole Ortiz from IISE.
Antoine Pramel from AICHE.
Brett Ramirez from ASABE.
Thomas Sinovac from NSPE.
Emily Wolring-King from ASME.
Aaron Young from IEEE USA.
All right, congratulations to our New Faces of Engineering Professional Edition. And now we are going to announce the 2017 New Faces of Engineering College Edition winners.
First, we have Moises Boinia from SHIP.
Caitlin Brinker from IEEE USA.
Meredith Burke from ASME.
Michael Concepcion Santana from AICHE.
Ashley Kronk from Nogelstop.
Desiree Echevarria from NACME.
Adrian Fudil Temgua, and he is with SBE.
Aaron, you're up.
So it didn't flip on mine. I'm sorry. Rebecca Kendall from the SWE.
All right.
Margarita Kovalchuk from ASCE.
And Anna Kuchera from ASABE.
And last but not least, Michelle Shadpour from ASHRAE.
All right, congratulations to all of our New Faces College Edition winners and to all of our New Faces Pro winners and to all of you who were nominated or applied. Congratulations to you. It's always a really tough selection process every year. We're blown away with all of the amazing things everyone is doing. And as part of our Global Day of the Engineer and our New Faces of Engineering announcement, we want you all to get out there and celebrate post and engineering innovation. Congratulate the winners and the nominees, and be sure to use the hashtag Global Engineer. So I am going to, there's a few more questions, Avery. If you have a moment, I'd love to just ask them. You ready?
I hope so, yes.
All right. So this question is from Melody. She asks, would you have been able to continue playing soccer and pursue your engineering dreams, or did you have to give up your other dream to pursue Bridges to Prosperity?
That's a good question, Melody. I think for me it's a bit of, I have to have focus. So I think for when I was an athlete, our expectation was it was fairly time intensive, and I think that it's possible to, the human capacity is limitless in so many ways, but I think to be an athlete and a student is definitely another level, as so many people on this call I'm sure have experienced. And I think that I don't know if I would have had the need for community and the need for team to seek out an opportunity to do something like Bridges to Prosperity while I was still in soccer. I don't think it's not possible, but I do think that we have to make choices, and sometimes sport can take a lot of time. So
here's another question. I'm a middle school teacher. What tips would you suggest for me to get my students more excited about engineering? And we'll start with Avery, Karen, and Dale if you have any good tips. I think this could be a question for all.
Okay, awesome. So for my side, I feel like it all started for me in middle school, maybe like 5th, 6th grade actually, but I think making it playful and fun and pointing out some of the obvious opportunities where engineers touch everything. And I think to make a game of it would be quite interesting, and I'm not sure how or in what course capacity that would be, but it's literally impossible to step outside and not touch so many things that we are designing and building, whether it's your cell phone or your television or your road or your bike. And so just to kind of find common objects and to demonstrate how and where engineers get to touch those. I was a teaching assistant at University of Colorado and brought in my snowboard for a mechanics materials course, which was wildly popular because everyone in Colorado snowboards or skis. And so I could show all the different layers and how you laminate a snowboard to make it go quickly, and show how you have to think about how when the temperature changes, they expand and contract at different rates, and how a company like Burton would handle that. It was a really cool way to inspire a sense of interest and evoke a sense of curiosity, I think, in it every day, which is really a trait that I think we look for in engineers. I don't know, Dale and Karen, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Avery really hit the nail on the head there. Everything that people do every day of their lives is impacted by what engineers have created. And so I think that's so important, is to get that information to the younger generation to really realize what they want to do is unlimited. I mean, there are so many things that they could get involved in. There's so many neat things that you can use as examples to illustrate that. I think it's just a fantastic opportunity to reach young people and get them enthused about engineering.
This is Karen. I would agree with everything that Dale and Avery said. I think however you can make that tie for young folks to appreciate how much engineers touch everything we do every day of the week, and maybe put a plug in for the Future City competition, which is a really cool competition for middle school age kids to design a prototype city of the future. I know the DiscoverE website has got the information or the link to the information, but I think that's something that kind of can help the light turn on in the minds of some of the younger folks about what all engineering involves.
Thank you both. Another great question we have is from someone who's not yet in college. And Michelle asks, I want to own a car company, but I also want to be an engineer. Do I have to quit my dream, I think, of owning a car company to be an engineer?
I can take a stab at that, but I don't know if Dale or Karen, would you prefer?
No,
well,
go ahead.
I think being an engineer is part of fulfilling your dreams. The thing that I've always come to realize is that engineering is really just the process of opening the door for unlimited possibilities. With that engineering background, you can really go anywhere and do anything you want to do. It gives you the ability to create and manage and just do so many different things. I think that's the perfect basis for whatever your dream is to start with that engineering background.
Great. Avery, anything to add? Karen, anything to add?
Yeah, I think Dale's got it. But I would recommend, it depends how big you want your car company to be. But if you look at the top 500 companies in the world, or in the United States at least, you'll find more engineers in those ranks than any other thing you could do. And I think it's because we're trained to think about identifying problems and solving them. And so in building your car company, I think to have a background as an engineer would give a really great, great kind of fabric of understanding of some of the challenges you'll come across and how to overcome those challenges. And I think that you don't have to be a practicing engineer to really, get a lot of value out of having studied engineering.
Yeah, and I would recommend looking at Elon Musk, an engineer who started a car company, the Tesla. So we have a question. This is Mohammed saying, hello from the American University of Iraq. I started an engineering club in my university. It's going great so far. I wanted to know what future plans you have, Avery, and is there a way we can collaborate to work on something?
Well, hello from Iraq. It's great to hear you tuning in. Probably a little bit later in the evening there, but I think that there's a lot of opportunities to collaborate, and we have a university program where we really are trying to work with lots of different kinds of student organizations. If you are working already in a community that's in need of pedestrian footbridges, we love to support that with a technical arm. But we do have a little bit more of our information on the website. If it sounds like a good fit, definitely shoot us an email.
All right. Can you just say what your URL is, Avery?
Yes. I'm going to say it, then spell it. bridges2prosperity.org. So Bridges, BRIDGES, TO Prosperity, PROSPERITY.org.
Great. And I think with that, our presentation is over with one final question. Is the video you showed on your website?
I tried to send you the link. It's on Vimeo. So it's free and open. If someone wants to just Google search or Vimeo search Bridges to Prosperity Panama, you'll find it. But maybe if Thea could just cut and paste what I sent you in the chat with everyone, that would be another great way to do that.
Yeah, I'll do that. And Marna, I will send it directly to you too. I know you've asked for it twice now. I will send it directly. And Avery, I have another idea for how we can get that out to folks. Okay, thank you everyone. Happy Global Day of the Engineer. And thank you to our presenters, Avery, Dale, and Karen. You guys were awesome. And let's just keep on engineering the future, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.